it and like they aren't having good intentions. If someone has good intentions, I feel like they'll figure out how to talk to you and how to say things to you. But if someone doesn't have good intentions and don't care about your feelings, they're going to say whatever they're going to say. So I'm going to correct you or just not say anything, because like grieving takes a lot of energy, and I just don't have that much time or energy to be spending on just getting upset. So it just depends.
Yeah, like because even with brief cliches, yeah, I think we've all, I'm sure I've used it, but I always know like when I say some things, I know it's not. I'm very mindful of what I say. I know it's not coming from a negative place, but
Right.
like we often hear so many cliche like grief cliches all the time. Like what, like apart from that, what is like the most common? Well, not apart from that, but what's like the most common cliche or phrase that you hear that you kind of feel like, oh, it's getting so like out, would I say outplayed? It gets a bit rinsed out. You hear it too often. Like, are there
Yeah.
any cliches like that kind of you feel like you're just tired of hearing it?
Um, I gotta think. I gotta think. I haven't been around too many cliches, thank God, lately. So, um, definitely, probably for sure, just um, I'm sorry for your loss. Like, I feel like people say that, and it's like a preset text message. Like, you can be so much more personal, like, especially if people are saying that to you, more than likely they know you, or um, they may have known the person. So I feel like you can say, like, I'm sorry that you lost your parents, or I'm so sorry to hear about whoever. Like, I just feel like we can make that anything so much more personable than I'm sorry for your loss. Like, me too. I'm sorry too. Like,
Mm. But does it have to be personable because the person knows you? But if it's just someone that wasn't really close to you and they said sorry for your loss, is that still a problem, or is it just if the person's close to you and they say that?
hmm. I think for me, if the person is close, but if the person isn't close to me, or I just feel like, how you go to funerals and there's just lots of people and everybody knows that person. So I feel like because they know that person, and the people that are probably saying that to you know you or that person, it should just be from the heart, just no matter what. Like, oh, like I didn't know about your parents. Just, I don't know, just something more just specific and heartwarming. I don't know. You're already in a time of just sorrow and just sadness. I just feel like being generic just doesn't help. It doesn't do much.
Yeah. It's true. It's hard because I'm not gonna lie. There's some cases when I come across people that have lost someone, and I'm just like I'm so compelled to type sorry for your loss, but I just feel like because I don't really know what to type, but I feel like I have to type something, but it's like I don't want to type just anything, um just anything, because kind of it's that kind of a moment where I guess, like I said in the past, you can come back if you don't know what to say in that moment. But even though when I do come back, I don't want to just come back and say sorry for your loss. I want to come
Right.
back, at least say something meaningful, or like something that I feel like won't hurt them. And that's to anyone. Even if I do know them, or just anyone, because whenever like I see someone who's just expressed their grief of someone close to them who's passed, I always feel like I can relate to you in a sense. It's not about me, but I just want to just let you know that I'm sorry that this has happened. But I don't want to say it in such a simple way, like I'm sorry for your loss. Like I want to
Right.
give more, like express more, because because I feel like it's the right thing to do. But I guess you're like, some people have that. Again, it's not always there's no ill intent behind it, but some people just have that kind of it's that
Preset.
pre-registered sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
Or yeah, like that, like
Yeah. I think
like
it's just
Ben,
more about just being compassionate to people. Just thinking for a moment, pausing, like, wow, like kind of comprehending like what they're saying to you, and then taking a moment. You don't have to respond or right away, and then just saying something thoughtful, like I'm holding you in my heart. I wish I can give you a hug. Like just words of comfort. I just feel
Yeah.
like we're so programmed to, I'm sorry for your loss, and these other just things we just say, when we can really just try and be compassionate if we take a pause, think for 10 seconds, and try and not relate to them, but just try and understand that this right moment right here is not about you, it's about them. So try and be comforting in some way. I mean, that's how I would want to be treated. So that's why I think that's what I try to do. I'm not saying I'm perfect at
Mm.
it, but I definitely strive to be more compassionate, especially when people say that they've lost someone, because it's like I've heard so many of those preset things and just things people say, and it's not comforting. It really just pisses you off. So um yeah, if you
Yeah,
can't,
like
yeah.
yeah, that's true. I think I think you're right in terms of, especially if you know them, definitely try and be personal. But even me saying that, I'm not kind of saying this to say like, oh, I'm perfect. I always get it right all the time. Because there
Right.
might be some things that I just say, and I think, and I look back, I think, you know what, I could have maybe just not said something in certain ways, or do you know what I mean? So it's not to kind of say like, yes, I know it all. This is how you must do it. But it's just like,
Right. I know
but
nothing.
like, but we've all had the cliches, like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of common. I was gonna ask you, Ben, what's kind of like some common ones that you kind of had that are kind of that you feel that are a bit let's say like rinsed, that people have rinsed that you hear all the time.
Oh, there.
Um, Probably everything happens for a reason. I
Yeah,
don't
that.
know.
Mm.
It comes across as a bit close-minded in a way because what you implying and saying
Like
is like,
tell me the reason then. Tell
yeah,
Right.
tell me
What is the reason? Tell me the reason.
what's the reason?
yeah,
I'm
because
waiting for the reason. You'll never find out the reason. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
uh,
It comes across as generic because it's like you obviously have a reason to say it now because you mentioned the reason, but it's like it comes across as close-minded because you're trying to close the conversation, you know, from happening.
Yeah.
That's the one I hear, and yeah, that's all I could think of.
But does it annoy you, or is it just like you just hear it and just think, okay, like, well, okay, this is what's the reason? But do you find it annoying, or is it just something you've just heard all the time?
Yeah, something that I just hear, but it's like it's not gonna solve the situation from what's happened. It's like everyone says that to me all the time, but it's like, what's it gonna change? It's not gonna change the outcome, is it? You know,
yeah.
because you're still gonna
Yeah.
go, you're still grieving, you know.
Mhm.
Like what do you guys think of when people say and it's not, I don't think it's used as commonly as compared to some phrases, but when people say, oh, they wouldn't want you to be like this, they wouldn't want you, they want you to be happy and just not be sad, to come, like,
I don't like that
what do you,
one
what do
either.
you guys think about that?
I don't like that one because how do you know what my parents or my person would want for me? Like you, like that's, I just don't like that. Like, how would you know what they would want for me when I know what they would want for me? Like how do you know? How do you know what they want? That one makes me
Mm. But what if it's coming from someone who actually knows you and they knew them quite well? So, like, for example, like maybe like an aunt or something says, oh,
good.
she wouldn't want you to be sad. He wouldn't want you to be sad.
Well, what do they want me to be? Like,
Mm.
what's okay? Like, what's wrong with being sad? I don't know. I think that just goes back to people trying to uh put an end to grief. Like that's almost like you saying, well, you shouldn't be sad, like don't be sad. And it's like, well, that's a part of, like, that's an emotion that we're supposed to feel. So I think it's okay for me to be sad. Maybe not sad over a long period of time, but it's okay for me to be right in this moment sad. So I don't like that one either.
Yeah, I think well, yeah, I just wanted to say one more point. So I think what Ashley said was you're gonna feel sad, you're gonna feel happy, because obviously that's part of going through grief, and obviously you're not we're not robots, or we're not Superman or Superwoman that we're gonna be happy 24/7, because we're gonna be going through stuff, that will happen, and obviously you're gonna go through that emotion. Even the best music artists in the world are gonna go through mental health. Like they're not gonna put. I mean, I think people try to put an image of someone and thinking that they're happy, but really they're probably going through stuff. So they're pretending to be happy because they don't want to be seen as this sad person. So yeah, that's
No, it's true. I think you're right because like we're gonna go through different emotions of happiness, sadness. But do you know what I think as well? Like there can be times when you just want to be sad, you just want to be in your feelings for that particular moment or particular amount of time, and that's cool. But the thing is, when people see that, oh, don't worry, you shouldn't be sad, but just cool. Like let me be how I am today. Tomorrow or the next day, I'll be cool. But it's like, you know what I mean, let me be. Do you know what I'm gonna say? Let me have both. You're gonna waver through both. You're gonna be sad sometimes. You're gonna be happy sometimes. Like, of course, you might, and because I feel I have a lot of times when I'm mostly happy all the time, yeah. So I feel like, oh, so when I'm sad, I feel like you can't be sad. But right now, all I do for me, I just let myself be what I need to be, and I feel like that takes away less pressure on my mental health
Mm-hmm.
because rather than kind of seeing myself, oh, I need to be happy all the time, I need to be um this all the time. It kind of it puts pressure on me, and the reason why I say that is kind of like, for example, since starting this podcast, like when me and Ben both started, I kind of had this idea in my head that I kind of had to be okay. We're gonna start this podcast when we're talking about grief, sharing our thoughts. So I must be this kind of person who must have it all together. I like my grief is done because I'm now sharing it. So that means I've mastered grief. Like, so I'm now sharing it to help others who are still yet trying to master their grief. But that's not the case. I'm still mastering it. I'm still a teacher. I'm still learning certain things. I'm still gonna feel sad. And I think once I've kind of acknowledged that and felt like, you know what, don't put that pressure of always trying to have it all together or seem like you're happy all the time. It's made things a lot easier. So when I do feel sad, it's not, I let myself feel what I need to feel because I know that this is just part and parcel of this journey. And it's just life. You're not going to be happy all the time. And I think sometimes, back to what Ben said, like we have this image, especially with people, especially celebrities, or they should be a one way. So the minute they don't adhere to certain things, or the minute they're sad about something, you think like people often, most a common example, oh, why is this person sad? But they were rich, they had money.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, like if we had the answers, then you know what I mean. But it's not. That's not how it works. Life isn't that clear cut. There are people who are billionaires, or they're gonna have mental health. They're gonna, and we might not understand what they're going through, but it's easy to kind of say, oh yeah, you've got money though, so why are you sad? You don't, we don't know that. We don't know why. Like the happiest person you can see all the time, and you hear like, oh, they're going through issues. You think, what? This person's happy all the time because they're humans. Before anything, he's a human. Your favorite celebrity is a human first before he or she's a good singer or rapper, like, or you know what I mean. They're humans first, and that's what you need to remember. They're not, you know, um, like, who can I use as an example? Like, even just someone like I don't know if you can use it as an example, like, but I'm sure you get where I'm going with that.
Mm-hmm.
But like they're humans first, so and by being human first, we have to, you're gonna be vulnerable before anything. Before you're strong, you're vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? Before, yeah, like that's just how it works. So I think it's important to not kind of put people on this sort of pedestal of perfection that they can't go through stuff because they don't have the right to go through stuff because they live a wealthy life compared to the average person. Or do you know what I mean? So like, so back to just like people like us going through grief. There might be times when like, well, there's times when I don't even feel like recording because I'm not in a good. I'm in my thoughts, I'm in my feelings, but that's okay. Like, I mean, sometimes I'll still do it. I'm still like, but it doesn't make me a fraud because, oh, one day I'm sad about my grief. I'm sad that I miss my mom. It means like, oh, well, I thought you're this guy who just says that, you show how perfect your grief is, how perfect you've kind of kept it under wraps. But listen, we're human, man. We're human. We're gonna have days. It doesn't take away from all the hard work. If you, obviously touch wood, it doesn't happen. But if you decide to, cry for 3 days, does that mean we can't still celebrate, you know, the fact that you start this page, you've gone on to do this interview, um, and help other people? It doesn't discredit you in any way. Do you know what I mean? Like, same with us, Ben. Like, it doesn't, you know, we're humans before anything. That's what it is. Like, that's what's important to remember, man. So just like, especially now more than ever, you don't be too hard on yourself, because listen, I still feel like we're in 2020, but just like 2020 extended. Like, I mean, the past year has been it's been crazy. Like, and it's a lot to take on mentally. So you have to be kind to yourself. You can't, if anything, be kind to yourself first. Like, in terms of like, don't be hard on yourself, man. It's easier said than done, but I think you have to remember that, because we are going through unusual times, so it's gonna affect us in different ways. So that's just what it is, like, and stuff. But yeah, I think it's been a good chat. And I think with the one thing I've really liked about especially this whole topic area of the grief cliches is that, yeah, just make it, just think before you kind of type something, make it a bit more personal, because it might go a long way. The person reading it might, oh, that's a nice message, rather than just saying sorry for loss. Because again, we don't know what to say sometimes with these things. That's another issue. We don't know what to say. I've had that times when I don't know what to say to someone, like, and you wanna say something, but you don't want to say the wrong thing.
Right.
So by default, you just say, okay, sorry for your loss. But sometimes have a think, and maybe come back and write something, and just make it personal. Like, don't be dismissive. But I know again, people don't always mean bad by it. Do you know what I mean? They might genuinely be sorry for your loss.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's just, I guess you just got to take it.
That's why
But we
we're
definitely
here
have to.
to
Yeah.
talk about these things and have these conversations, because if we're talking about it, then we'll probably go out, maybe not today, but eventually, and have a conversation with someone else. And eventually these cliches will hopefully be gone. But I think just acknowledging that they exist and knowing that uh, people do have good intentions, but there are better ways to be personable and to express like your condolences. So I think just bringing it up, though, I think we're going to be on the right track, and hopefully in the next, I don't know how many years, we can kind of eradicate those cliches and replace them
Mm.
with just
Yeah, it's just
love
step
and
by step.
compassion and just little things.
Yeah, it's just step by step. And like I said, I'm not saying it to say like I always know what to say. It's not. It's just a thing for we can all learn. Like, I'm not. I'm not an expert at any in this. Like, I'm just still learning. I'm just kind of think of how I
Mhm.
would see it. So there's definitely everything is, when it comes to grief, is about conversation and just having, just like kind of putting some things out there and not and knowing that, okay, look, there's a lot of things amongst people that people don't know about, people know about, but maybe if you like said it this way or then this way, like it might help. You know, you just don't know, because it's very much still like a taboo thing, like, you know, because loss, it brings about so many different feelings. We don't know how someone's going to take that loss, you know, of a parent, of a loved one, what emotions they're thinking. So it's very hard to kind of like pinpoint a particular set of words that will help them ease those kind of conflicting emotions. It's hard. You just don't know. Like, not you can say something cliche, you can say something very personal, but it might not change how they're feeling. It's very, but I feel like just, yeah, but showing that, saying something and it being sincere kind of just shows that, okay, you know what, you care. But at that moment in time, they might be in so engulfed in their own thoughts, they might not realize that. But if you know you're genuine, I think that's the main thing, being genuine about what you're saying. So even if you do say sorry for your loss and you are genuine, so like, then it's fine. But yeah, I guess again, like I said, there are better
You can
phrases
just
to
phrase
use,
it better. Yeah, you can
you
like
know.
add some more word there, add a comma, put another phrase with it. I just feel like there's just more. Especially
Yeah,
if like there's just more you can do, especially if you're just saying it or like texting it. Like in that moment, you're like that person just needs something, just needs what compassion, support, love, all those things.
yeah, like definitely. I think we said it a bit earlier about spreading awareness and normalizing grief. And as we've always said, like you're doing it through Orphan-ish. But just like before we wrap up, I don't know how much you can say or how little you want to say, but just about your, you know, your interview with that Voyage Dallas,
Mhm.
and like how like that kind of came about, and what was the experience like for you?
So the magazine features like different people in the community that are doing just literally anything. And I saw people like that were bloggers, I saw fashion designers, I saw chefs, music artists, therapists, just really anything. People who are doing just great things in the community and people are wanting to share their story. So I thought it was very cool to not only share my story, but for them to want to share a story about grief. It can be really heavy and very just very triggering in some areas. So I think talking about these things and having these types of conversations with magazines, on podcasts, it's important because until grief and loss and the things that surround it are normalized, like I feel like people and like we're going to continue to feel isolated and like um grief is something that like we just can't like we can't live with it, like it's too hard, and I don't want people to think that um you can't live with your grief, because you can do great things with it. It's not going to be easy, it's not going to be by any means just a journey that's going to end. It's probably going to be a lifelong journey for me, and I think the more that I talk about it and am able to speak about it, it's just helping my heart be able to heal, because I'm able to make sense of what's happened 2 years ago, because sometimes it almost still feels like it's not real. So I think for me personally, talking about it and normalizing what it is to grieve is important. And I just kind of adopted it as like just something I'm going to work on and kind of incorporate even when I go hopefully back to school, um, so I can learn more about it.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's a good start to normalizing it, because like I don't want to say go too much into this, but I feel like it's important, especially because like Black grief is somewhat different. It's not, I would say, it's not very in the mainstream,
Mhm.
you know, like compared to like our counterparts who can probably, you know, talk about grief on a radio station, and you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong, because that I think that's normalizing it as well. Like it's just that it's different people groups normalizing it, and that's fine. But I think, you know, like kind of getting more engaged with certain, well, it depends on the press and what, you know, the right kind of platform, I guess, is important. But I think that does, when you do find the right one, it does help as well, because what you're doing is what is telling your story, but you're normalizing what grief is like as a Black woman. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? So um especially where like grief is already kind of taboo, and uh arguably can be somewhat isolating in the sense where like not, but people might not really learn about certain things or know about certain things that in certain cultures and backgrounds. So yeah, so I think it's important to, as in when people do get this opportunity, it's good to like, yeah, kind of tell the world this is what it's like.
Right.
You know, this is how I've been through it, because again, we're not all going to have the same experiences. It's going to be different. So I'm definitely like I think that's good, and I hope you know, you do get more opportunities that you feel that are right for you, of course, where you can kind of just keep sharing, because that's all it is. That's all it is. Like, you know, and you know, through starting this page, you know, you've got this opportunity. You probably would have had it had when you started, but you know, but a large part of it, well, would you say a large part of it is due to you starting the page?
I would think so. It definitely just gives me more confidence to talk about these things, to have courage, and just know that this is normal and everyone's literally going to go through this. Everyone's going to grieve. Everyone's going to lose people close to them. So, like, it's not like this is just going to happen to me. So, I want people to know that while right now you may not understand what I'm doing or what I'm going through, but eventually, like, this is going to happen to you, and like, it's going to happen to you. So, um, it's just something to be aware of. And I think people, um, I don't know, people just have, again, like you said, a taboo around grief. So I think it's just gonna take you having to grieve your own loss to being able just to grasp the whole idea fully, I think.